ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतीं नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारतैलपूर्ण प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दन पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोण तटा जयद्रथजला गान्धार नीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जन षट्पदैर हर हर पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनिः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुलंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तम् अहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः।
So we will start with chapter 9. Now chapter 9 has an interesting name. It is called the Raja Vidya Yoga. Raja Vidya. Of all the Vidyas, it is the king. Now, so till now, what has he been doing? If all the Vidyas, it is the king. Yes, please.
No, Sami, today we are supposed to complete 5th chapter to 8th chapter.
No, I sent out on the message very clearly that I did, because I prepared the questions, but then if I had sent them out today, you would not have had time for Manan. So, so I postponed it and I sent out.
I thought there will be no question leak this time. So,
no, question leak has to be there because otherwise you will come without Manan. That is not acceptable.
Okay.
Yes. What has happened to your hand?
In my text, a terrible accident. I shut the sliding door on my finger, and when once it grabbed in just a reaction, I pulled my hand out. It actually pulled out a whole plug of flesh out. There's a big hole in my finger. I could see my bone, and rushed to the thing. They actually have grafted that piece of flesh back on, but we don't know whether it is going to hold or not. I have a travel coming up in 3 days' time to the US, and I really don't know. Tomorrow I'll know when I go for the follow-up whether that flesh is holding, it's not dying. It's not
that in spite of all this, you have come. You are attending today. That's great.
No, I mean, painkillers are always there. I'm not like that gentleman who had a tooth extraction without anesthesia. So I'm not there yet. So painkillers are there. But yeah, I know it's
so you were saying something.
Okay, yeah. So in my text, it is given Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga.
Yoga. Yes. So I was going to come to that because in Gurudev's book also it says Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga. So I was explaining that Raja Vidya meaning king of all vidyas. Raja Guhya means deepest of all secrets. Now, firstly, why does Krishna call this Raja Vidya? Till now, then what has he been giving us? He has been giving us Praja Vidya, Asura Vidya, I don't know what. Why does he call it separately Raja Vidya? So what he has started doing, we have to understand the construct of the dialogue. See, till the end of chapter 6, he explained what I think I am. From 7, you saw him starting to explain the cosmos, where he has started looking at the 8 forms of Prakriti and how he is beyond that Prakriti and so on and so forth. If you have to summarize chapter 8, what will you summarize it as? What is the yoga? What did we call it?
Akshara Brahma.
Akshara Brahma. Beyond the 7th, when we went through the 7th, and we come to what is Brahman. Right? Now he is slowly leading us towards an understanding of Brahman and as well as methodology to reach that point. Right? And when I'm using the word reach, it is obviously, it's a limitation of words. You are already there. It is a question of just unveiling. So that is why it is Raja Vidya. It is not that what he has taught, it's just a continuation. But at this point, he is going deeper and therefore he wants to make the listener, Arjuna, more curious, more attentive, and he gives a name. But he also calls it Rajaguhya.
From
Right?
masters, we are moving to PhD.
More or less, yes. So now when he comes to this point, he also calls it Rajaguhya. If he is declaring it in so many words, how is it a Guhya? How is it remaining a secret?
So it is basically it's a Guhya because quite surprisingly, nobody seems to know it. It is what we are, but we don't know that what we are, and so it is hidden from us. It's Guhya.
Okay.
You can say that
And
it
this
is
is the
secret.
deepest of secrets. It takes quite a bit of digging to be able to realize.
He may explain the depth of the knowledge.
It is not about the depth of the knowledge. Why is he calling it Guhya? Is very rightly said in the right direction by Raghuji, is that it is so much while it is so evident as a fact, but we cannot understand it. And even if we understand it, we can't realize it.
Can
And
we say
therefore-
that it is secret to the ignorant, but it is not secret to the wise?
No, it is, see, even to the wise, how many of the wise does he talk about? He tells us in the earlier chapters that after billions of people, some only will have the curiosity. After some of those who are curious, only some will do practice. Only some of those who have the practice will become Siddha. Of those who are Siddha, only a few will attain me.
Yeah.
So for the rest of them, what has happened? They remain in the delusion. Partial or fully, but they remain in the delusion. Because they remain in the delusion, it remains a secret. See, if I come and tell you, Parthada, you know your neighbor, and I give you some very interesting piece of gossip about the neighbor. Right? Now, you have received the secret. It is some secret knowledge that I had about the neighbor. तो कल आपका neighbor ना XYZ कर रहा था. Now, you have received that information as a secret. Now, if immediately after I have left, you have forgotten that, then when I come to you tomorrow and I tell you again with the same thing, is it still a secret for you? Yes, it is still a secret because you have forgotten. Hence, he says that it is a secret. Let us look at the first verse and then we will see. Atha Navamodhyayah Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yogaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Idam tu te guhyatamam. Idam tu te guhyatamam. Pravakshamyanna suyave. Pravakshamanya suyave. Idam tu te guhyatamam. Pravakshamyanna suyave. Jnana vijnana sahitam. Jnana vijnana sahitam. Yajñatva mokshase shubhat. Mokshase Yajñatva mokshase shubhat. Jnanam vijnana sahitam. Yajñatva mokshase shubhat. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Idam tu te guhyatamam. Pravakshamyana suyave. Jnana vijnanam vijnana sahitam. Yajñatva mokshase shubhat. Idam, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sri Bhagavan said, Idam, this, tu, but, te, to you, guhyatamam, the most secret, pravakshami, I shall reveal to you, I shall explain to you, I shall impart to you. Anusuyave, to asuyam is being jealous. Anasuya means he who is not jealous. Anasuyave, jnanam, knowledge, vijnanam, applied knowledge, application, sahitam, with, yat, which, jnatva, knowing, mokshase, you will be released, you will get moksha, ashubhat, you will be released from what? Misery, ashubhat, from all that is miserable. So he's saying, I am giving this to you because you are not jealous of me. What is this thing about jealousy? Where does this jealousy come into the picture? Any idea? Why is he talking about jealousy?
I think that is because Arjuna was very open about what he does not know. He is questioning. So he is not actually trying to cover up his ignorance. That could be one way to why he is saying that he's not jealous.
Okay. Any other thought?
Yeah, in the text which I have, it doesn't say jealousy, it says criticism. You're not critical to you, Arjuna, who do not criticize.
So it is the contextual meaning. The literal meaning of the word anasuya means without envy. Asuya means envious. Anasuya was the name of the wife of Atri Muni. Anasuya means she who is never jealous of anybody else. Similar, so asuya here means jealous. Now, contextually, if we understand the word anasuya, here it will mean that we are talking of a person. If you are jealous of a person, what do? You
try to put him down.
Correct. And how do you put him down? By finding fault in him. You continuously criticize him. You continuously find doubts in about whatever he is doing. You start doubting his intention. All of that you start doing. So here he is saying from that perspective that if your behavior, since your behavior is non-critical, right, in terms of what Parthuda was talking, because his mind is open, he is ready to receive. Hence, I am telling you this. Now, this is a very important aspect of a teacher-student relationship. If a teacher-student relationship does not hinge on trust, and trust, therefore, will accept not criticism, but will accept feedback, or rather will accept criticism as feedback. Whereas, if the relationship does not have trust in it, then criticism is viewed as pulling down. So I can tell my wife, or she can tell me that you need to improve X, Y, Z, whatever, something of my behavior. I mean, generally my wife would tell me. So, now I accept that not as criticism, but I accept that as feedback, because I know that her intention towards me is based on trust, is based on affection. But if somebody who I do not trust, somebody with whom my relationship is fragile, and he comes and tells me the same thing, and maybe they're exactly the same thing, I view it differently. So here, Krishna brings in the concept of trust between the teacher and student, and raises the issue of saying that I will now give this to you because you are non-arrogant. You do not have that pride in you. You are approaching me with humility. If you look at chapter 2, verse 9, right? Where he said, Karpanya dosha. I have, because of the Karpanya and Shishyaste ham shadhimam. So he please accept me as a student. So that humility, because of that humility, I am ready to share this knowledge with you. Right? Let's move on to verse number 2. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Pavitram idam uttamam. Pavitram idam uttamam. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Pavitram idam uttamam. Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. Susukham kartum avyayam. Susukham kartum avyayam. Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. Susukham kartum avyayam. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. Pavitram idam uttamam. Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. Susukham kartum avyayam. Raja Vidya, we have talked about this. Raja Guhya, we have also talked about this. Pavitram, pure. Idam, this. Uttamam, highest. Pratyaksha, directly perceptible. That which I can experience, directly perceptible. Avagamam, directly realizable. That which is, not only do I perceive it, I can also experience it. Dharmyam, those who are in the dharma. Susukham, easy. Kartum, practice. Avyayam, everlasting. So what he's saying here, this interesting king of all sciences, the deepest of all secrets. Pavitram idam uttamam. There are two meanings to this. Number one, it is that it will purify those who hear it. Another meaning, another contextually, just depending upon the way in which you want to interpret the Sanskrit grammar, that this itself is the highest of most pure things. Consequent result to us is the same. We will get purified. Right? So if you say that the soap is good, when you say soap is good means what? Just because it looks like a nice fish? No. Because it cleans you. Right? So if the soap is good, pavitram idam uttamam, means that the soap is excellent. By definition, it will mean that it has to clean. Similarly, if this text or this vidya is pavitram idam uttamam, then it has to make me pavitra. It has to make me pure. And what is pure? Pure means without vasanas. Anything that has no vasanas becomes pure. So then he says that it is directly realizable. It directly pratyaksham avagamam. It is directly perceivable. It is directly realizable. And it is in accordance with dharma. It is in accordance with what is dharma. We have seen that, right? We have. I'm sorry. What is dharma? I have explained this earlier. Dharma. Veena-ji, you just attended.
Dharyate iti dharma.
Dharyate iti dharma. Dhri word se jo aata hai. Right? And therefore, it means that which is the essential, the essential nature of a particular thing. So the essential nature of fire is light and heat. So the dharma of fire is to burn because the dharma, its essential nature is light and heat. The essential nature of water is to flow, and it is to it is to hold taste, right? It is to be wet. So if you remove wetness, it is no longer water. If you remove taste from it, it is no longer water. So the essential dharma. So here he says that this is in accordance with the essential dharma. Essential dharma of whose? Of a manushya. And what is the essential dharma of manushya? What is its essential nature? What is the essential nature of a manushya?
Taking care of the elements, 5 elements, nature, humanity.
आनंद में रहना और
Correct. To be eternally in ananda. That is my essential nature. Out of ananda, anandan bhavati jagat. Right? I arose from ananda. Into ananda I will merge. Because I am ananda. My nature is Sat Chit Ananda. That is me. That is my essential nature. So it is in accordance with that Satchidananda. It is in accordance with that which will take you towards Satchidananda. And therefore, by purifying you, it will reveal Satchidananda to you. Dharmyam susukham. Easy to practice. Easy to practice. Avyayam. And the effect of this is everlasting. The effect of this is my transformation. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The moment I have become Brahman, I cannot become back a Jiva again. Right? I may take on the role of a Jiva. I may choose to be taking on a role of a Jiva. I'm not talking of coming back in an avatar and all that. Even let us take somebody like Gurudev, somebody like Swami Vivekananda. I continue to, or somebody like Sri Thakur or Raman Maharshi. I continue to behave like a Jiva. Right? That's because I'm now play acting. I'm now in a role. Now just imagine. Shah Rukh Khan goes and acts in a movie in which he is portraying somebody as dumb or coming from a very poor family and he has to beg on the streets and so on and so forth. Does he at any moment in that entire movie, as he's playing that role in all the shoots, does he at any moment ever forget the fact that he is Shah Rukh Khan and he owns a multi-storied bungalow in Bandra? कभी नहीं भूलेगा. वैसे ही, if I have become Brahman, I will never forget that I am Brahman anymore. But I may choose to take on various roles. Role of a teacher, role of a recluse, role of a hermit, role of a social service person. But in all these, there will be a compassion element thrown in, because of which they will work for the betterment of other people. Raghuji, you had raised your hand.
Yes, it accords with Dharma. Actually, in my Manan this week, one point came up, the role of conscience. Now, it is told that it is the little voice in our head that tells us what is the correct thing to do. Now, as we have said, Papa is anything that is selfish oriented, associated with the or directed towards fostering the body, mind, intellect, while Punya is anything that is not selfless act. Okay. So when we see, anytime I find something that my conscience pricks me, I notice because I've done something selfish. So I had this question, is conscience then Parabrahman? Is it somehow trying to reach out? And is that the thing that I should latch on to? Of course, it says, live in good conscience, they say. Okay. Mike Pence says, in all good conscience, I cannot endorse Donald Trump. Now he has said it last week, right? So living in good conscience. So I just wondered, what is this conscience? Why is it that Parabrahman is reaching out to guide me? And what is it? So it is a little bit of confusion I had. I wanted to type out a question to you, sir. And I said, I will do it. Weekend, first thing in the morning, I went and shattered my finger.
So the whole concept of conscience comes from our sense of right and wrong. Right? And where is our sense of right and wrong? It is in our intellect. So that which I believe to be right, my voice, my inner voice, whenever I do something that which I believe to be wrong, my subconscious, my inner conscience will tell me, I know you're doing wrong. Do you want to consider? Now you keep on doing that, your intellectual vasana becomes more powerful than that voice of the discernment of intellect. And then that particular question no longer arises. So the whole concept of conscience is from the word, and the way it's supposed to behave is in the Western world comes from their very largely dualistic view of black and white, good and evil, right? If you look at it from our perspective, the whole concept of conscience is basically something that tells you this is not right, this is not wrong, or this is right, this is wrong. Where is right, wrong? In this world, there is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. Everything is full stop. Story ends over there. Now, the whole concept of right and wrong comes in only when you have identified with something that is not Brahman. So Brahman does not reach out to you. It is your conscience, which is your conscience here is your awakened intellect, which is trying to prompt you, because that is the job of the intellect. Remember Kathopanishad. Remember Nachiketa's Yamadharmaraja's example. Remember Bhagavad Geeta. The Indriyas, controlled by the mana, controlled by the intellect, controlled by the Atman. Now the voice of the intellect, it has two major jobs. One is called judgment, and the other is called discrimination, Atman and Atman. But even the concept of judgment is a higher level of thinking than the emotive thinking that we are talking about. And therefore, the discernment between what is right and what is wrong is done by your intellect. And your intellect therefore prompts you and says, this vasana is, it helps you to turn away. It helps you to say no, if you listen to it. And as you keep listening to it, it strengthens the negative, removes the negative vasanas, it directs you towards the positive vasanas. In itself, it is not the Parabrahman, nor does it come from the Parabrahman.
Yeah, but we are told that we have to do nishkamya karma. And everything I've noticed my conscience telling me is direct me in the thing which is not where I, what is my self aggrandizement or whatever is expressed. When my conscience never tells me you are great and you should do thing. It tells me, no, ignore yourself. What is the good for others, right?
Correct. That is your conscience.
So
Maybe
you're saying that is just my upbringing, not
Donald Trump's conscience is not telling him that same thing. Right?
Right,
So the whole exactly, we don't know. Right? See, if it was Brahman, then it should be giving the same message to everybody. But it is not.
True.
So even in our mythological, even in our itihasa, the way Ravan is prompted to do certain acts, and the way Ram is prompted to do certain acts, are all very different. Ultimately, both of them are Parabrahman only. Right? So, but very interesting question. So now if we move on from here, we were talking about being in accordance with Dharma, meaning in accordance with my essential self, and easy to practice. Why does it say easy to practice? Because all it requires is, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. And I'm done. Okay. Right? See, it is very easy to play cricket. I know how to bat, I know how to bowl, I know how to field. Cricket over. Now, it is not that easy. Yes, मीना जी, बताइए.
मैं चाह रही हूँ इसमें.
हाँ जी. आपने म्यूट कर दिया अपने आप को. अपने आप.
हाँ जी, ये सच में है। जब हम ये सोचना शुरू कर देते हैं ना कि ये हो रहा है, इसका जो मेन रूट कॉज हम जब तलाश करते करते बहुत लंबी दूरी की यात्रा तय करनी पड़ती है कि ये मेरे दिमाग में एक बात खड़ी हुई है, मुझे किसी चीज को लेकर के वरीड हो रही हूँ या कोई अभिमान हो रहा है, देन कि किसको हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है। तो उसका रूट कॉज जब हम ढूंढने जाते हैं ना, तो पता चलता है कि वो एक हमारी वासना के कारण हो रहा है, या अपने आप को, शरीर को ही खुद मान लेना, उससे होता है ये सब। मतलब जब हम अपने मूल तत्व तक पहुंच जाते हैं, तब वो सब वैनिश हो जाती हैं सब चीजें, कि ये
Swarna
लाइट,
Mriga.
हाँ हाँ, लाइट हो जाता है।
So very right. So the moment you find that, or when you start questioning that whole process, so it becomes very easy. Now, everybody in the entire list of all the realized masters have said that the easiest marga is the jnana marga. Why? Because it requires nothing externally. It does not even require, see, for that matter, Vedanta is not truly a religion in the real sense. What is religion? Where does the word come from? Any idea? It has a Latin root. It comes from the word religare, right? Incidentally, in India, that became a new company, and people pronounced it as religare.
Really good.
It wasn't religare, it was religare. So, religare means to tie again. To tie again. Religion comes from that root word. It is something that ties you down to a certain set of practices, to a certain set of behaviors. Right? Is it important? Of course, it is important because that is your starting point. But Advaita Vedanta, or any Vedanta, any Dvaita Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, any Vedanta, Vedanta, by definition, is not a religion in that sense. It does not have prescribed rules beyond what you can do on your own. It does not require you, I mean, for Ramana Maharshi as an example, and for that matter, his teaching itself as an example, says that you do not need any guru. All you need is to awaken your inner guru by asking the question, who am I? By just repeating this, who am I, myself, all the time, as Minaji was saying, I'm very disturbed. Somebody's come and given me some bad words or made a horrible comment about me or whatever. And then you say, who is it that this person is talking about? Just question that. And immediately what you have done is you have distanced yourself from that particular event. And the moment you have distanced yourself, Gurudev used to use an example, you have switched off the electricity from the bulb cannot glow. The energy in that particular emotion comes from you. And when you switch it off, it goes away. That allows us to lead a stress-free life. It allows us to lead a very peaceful life. It allows us to go through life in equanimity. In chapter 2, verse 17, he says that a yogi is equanimous to Pita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukha, Mana, Apamana. Sita, Ushna is where? In the body. Sukha, Dukha is where? In the mind, in the manas. Man, Apman is where? In the intellect. He is equanimous to all of this. How is he equanimous? How does he become equanimous? Because he views it from a distance. When you view it from a distance, when you go to your flight, and your flight is flying from that 35,000 feet in the air, Bombay's roads look so beautiful. No potholes. Nothing is visible.
No traffic.
Because everything becomes, and the traffic looks nice actually. Right? Yellow lights, red lights. कितना अच्छा लगता है देखने में. Because you have distanced yourself. And everything becomes beautiful. That is why he is saying it is very easy to practice. Now, if I have to tell you that the only way to get moksha would have been for you to do 11 Chandi Homams in 15 days, then I think a lot of people would have dropped out from the race itself immediately. Because you are talking of having a Havan Kunda, you are talking of acquiring these material, that material, these many people who can recite that particular stotra, and so on and so forth. The whole thing is a whole big ritual. I mean, it's not a ritual if you understand it, but if you otherwise, it's a ritual. So without any ritual, without any requirement, accepting what Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in chapter 6, you need a place to sit, which is comfortable, not too high, not too low. You need to keep yourself not too hungry, not too full, and practice. That's all. Yes, Partha.
I wanted a little more clarity on the word dharma, because in our session somewhere earlier we saw that even for a butcher, his dharma is doing that job. He does it, and he is also achieving his moksha through that. A cobbler is doing his job well. He is, I mean, the moment we are discussing about dharma here, some thing of righteousness comes, you know, conscience comes, and all those things come, or consciousness comes. So and there's a little confusion. For example, as an accountant, my dharma I see as finance or accounting, whatever. And if I today go and try to equip myself with an engineer or a doctor, I'll be miserable there. So I should. So what is that dharma and what is this dharma? Bhagavad Gita is talking about both.
Correct. I'll go explain that a little while later. Just let me hear Raghuji's question. If it is in line with the same thing, then I'll.
No, it is actually
merge.
different. See, my introduction to our Sanatana Dharma and our philosophy, the way of thinking, was through the complete works of Swami Vivekananda when I was in university. And I don't remember in which text, I think in the very first or second text, he actually says that the Jnana Yoga path is the quickest but the most difficult. I understand how you say it is the easiest because there is no accoutrements required. But he was talking about the difficulty of sustaining that intense thought process and saying it is the most difficult.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll take both thoughts separately and will individually, and let me try and explain this. So, Swamiji's view is a view that has been explained to me separately by Swami Atmapriyananda in a separate conversation between him and I. And it was a very interesting conversation from my perspective. The question that Parthada raised, see, first let us understand the word dharma and let us look at it in our scriptures. In the Vedas itself, see, the Vedas have 4 parts. We have seen that, right? The Samhita, which is the Stotra part, the Brahmana, the Aranyaka, and the Upanishad. Now, if I look at the 4 parts of the entire Veda, the word dharma is not a very frequent word. It's not a very frequent word. Right, in Taittiriya Upanishad, we have Satyam, Vada, Dharmam, Chara, etc., etc. It is not a very frequent word. It comes, but it's not very frequent. We start understanding the depth of dharma subsequently when Vyasa brings in the Puranas. And one of the reasons possibly is that during the time when the Vedas were being explored, were being codified, Shruti was being transmitted, possibly life was simpler, life was easier, and therefore the deviation from dharma itself was not a question that was arising. Also, it was not as complex. When we come to the question of the Puranas, when we come to the question of the Itihasas, then we start looking at the word dharma because it starts coming very frequently. For that matter, the first word in the Bhagavad Gita, the first cognitive word is dharma. Dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre, right? Before that, we have all that, Shri Dhrtarashtra and all that. So the first dharma is the first word itself. Now, the word dharma, while it means the essential nature, that is its meaning. You can apply this meaning in various contexts. Hence, you have something called Raja Dharma, the way of the essential nature of what a king should be. Manushya Dharma, the essential nature of what a Manushya should be. Right? And therefore, now you have the various dharmas, three dharma, Purusha Dharma, Nyaya Dharma, etc., etc. Now I can keep adding the word to the anything in. So in your case, it will be Vitta Visheshagya Dharma, right? Now, if I am saying Vitta Visheshagya Dharma, then the essential nature of a Vitta Visheshagya would be an understanding of finance, a deep understanding of finance and accounting and so on and so forth and taxation. Now, if I take that away from you, you are no longer an accountant. Your essential nature in your context of being an accountant is your Swadharma. And you very rightly and very beautifully pointed out exactly what the Bhagavad Gita says, because the Bhagavad Gita says it is better to fail in one's Swadharma than to try and excel in somebody else's Dharma. It is better to die, he actually uses the word. So hence, if my essential nature is of being a painter and I'm a child and then my parents pushed me to make me an accountant, I am going to be miserable throughout my whole life. Right? But that is because of my dharma as a painter. So that was attempted to be removed. So I hope I have explained that the word dharma can contextually mean different, but essentially it is still the same. And hence the word duty, hence the word way of living. All of this is inherently the meaning of the word, the true essence of. Now coming to what...
That means just one interjection. What I now understand is he used that time the word dharma in the context of explaining to Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya, your
Correct.
dharma is to fight, don't lay down the arms.
Correct. So in the context of being identified as a Kshatriya, but now when he's identified beyond the Kshatriya, beyond the body, and now he's saying you are a Manushya, then you have to follow Manushya Dharma, no longer Kshatriya Dharma is applicable.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Clear.
Right. Now coming to the question that Raghuji raised. See, will you repeat the exact question in the same way, because I want to use a certain word that you said.
Yeah, you had mentioned that the Jnana Yoga is the easiest.
No,
and I can understand it from the fact that you don't need accoutrements, you just need your mind.
Accoutrements. Okay, but, that was the word.
But,
no, it's okay.
Swami Vivekananda has actually said it is the most difficult, because that is the most tough one to control.
You see, okay. And the word I was looking for, use that word, accoutrements. That is the word I was looking for. Okay, so good. You see, the problem is those accoutrements itself. Accoutrements mane upadhyay, right? The things that you carry around with you. So what do you need to do a havan? You need a sruk, you need a sravi, you need a havan kunda, you need a havis patra, you need a yajya patra, you need a dakshina patra, you need all the various patras that will have to be kept, right? Chatush patra, shat patra, there are 6 patras, there are 6 or there are 4 patras, then so on and so forth, various rules for various havan. Right? These are the accoutrements that go with it. Now, when I am using external accoutrements, external props, my mind, which is outward looking, can fixate on these and therefore use them to move forward. Hence, the initial steps require us to do that. Now, while no physical requirements are required, there is no need for any physical things. But if I sit down for meditation and I start off, I carry with me all the accoutrements of my mind. And my mind has many more sruk, sravi, havan kundas and patras than I could have fixed in my physical havan. And therefore my mind continues to rove around in all of these. Hence, Bhagavad Gita. Because in Bhagavad Gita, he very clearly, it is a progression. When does Dhyana Yoga come? 6th chapter. Until you have learned karma sannyasa yoga, it is not possible for you to sit down and do jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is easy only if you have prepared for it. To prepare for it, you need to do all the other things, really gare. You need to do all the religion, right? You need to sit down and do the bel patta and the tulsi patta and the shaligram worship and the Shivalinga worship and chant your Gayatri and do your mantra. Advaita Vedanta doesn't have any mantra. It doesn't require a mantra. Raman Maharshi used to say, Jnanare, who are you? Right? Who am I? Question yourself. When you start questioning that, now people took that as a mantra. And they went back and they started saying, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And that's not going to help. The whole path is about intense internalization. Now, that intense internalization can only happen when my dissociation with Rasgulla has happened. But if I'm continuously associated with the Rasgulla, then it is going to be very difficult. And hence, Swami Vivekananda's statement, it is to be read in conjunction with this entire thing. That is, it is easy externally. But if your mind is still carrying all that baggage of the bags and bags and bags of Rasgullas, then unfortunately, it is the most difficult thing to do because your mind is going to keep on jumping. Your mind is not going to settle down in any place. So that is what was indicated. We'll move to verse number 3. Ashraddhadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa ashraddhadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsaravatmani aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsaravatmani ashraddhadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsaravatmani ashraddhadhanaha. People without Shraddha. We'll understand or go deeper into Shraddha. We've done that before, but we will revise. Purushaha, persons. Dharmasya, of Dharma. Asya, this. Dharmasyasya. So Dharma, Asya. Dharmasya, Asya. Parantapa is Arjuna. We know that. Aprapya, without attaining me, mam. Nivartante, they come back. Mrityu samsara, mrityu death, samsara material existence, vartmani in the path. So basically what is he saying? People who don't have faith in what I am telling you or have been telling you or will tell you in the future, they are unable to attain me. They repeatedly come back to this world in the cycle of birth and death. Mrityu samsara vartmani. So it's a very easy shloka to understand. Very pertinent, but we have seen exactly what he has said earlier, and he's just repeating himself here. Yes, Raghuji?
I agree with you. That's an easy sloka to understand. But, you know, when after having come through all the 8 chapters and coming into this one now, to me, this is just a declaration of the obvious. But I have seen similar statements made in so many religions where it is a statement to say, if you don't do mine, then you are going to die. Or what are you going to do? You are not going to get salvation, you're not going to get heaven and all that. I've seen similar type of statements abused in so many religions. Even in our own faith, we have people who are very radical, who are, you got to do it only this way.
So, for that matter,
Shivana Mukti Vaishnavan. When Iyengar says Shivana Mukti Vaishnavan, then you have to cross Shiva to get Vishnu. This is all just such type of political statement.
So basically, if you look at, without denigrating, this is not meant as a judgment or any criticism, but if you look at ISKCON's translation, in this particular shloka here, it is translated as only by following Bhakti Yoga and worshipping Krishna will you overcome the material existence of cycle of birth and death. Now, that's an interpretation. So is what I am saying an interpretation. So is what Gurudev is saying as an interpretation. You have to choose your interpretation, right? An interpretation that puts it into a punishment is something that is very difficult to accept, because Krishna or the Paramatman is not sitting there as a judge saying good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. It is my karma which is causing results. Hence, for me, personally speaking, and obviously because of the influence of Gurudev here, is that the Advaitic thinking seems to be far broader and more accepting or more inclusive of everything that we are talking about. So here, when he says mom, you choose the mom. Whether you want to choose it in the form of a form, or you want to choose a formless. So, see, many combinations, no? Form with attributes, the persons who worship Krishna and Rama. Formless with attributes, persons who worship Allah and the Brahmos, right? The Brahmo Samaj, formless but has attributes. And then formless without attributes, the Advaitis. Nam means Shunya. It means nothingness. The Shunyavadis. You can interpret it whichever way. As long as you are saying that this coming back is not a punishment, but a result of my wrong choice. It's not a punishment. It's a consequence. It's only a consequence. It is not somebody sitting up there choosing to punish me. As long as you say that, everything is acceptable. But in the moment you say that there is somebody up there deciding, oh, this is right, that is wrong, and you will do this only then if you will come to me, otherwise you will not come to me and I will punish you, then I have a problem. Yes, please.
Shamir, I am a little surprised at this confusion coming to this stage in chapter 9, whereas we saw in chapter 8, verse 5, Sri Krishna is telling very clearly, Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. So you think of me and you come along. We did not dispute and discuss about that. Why Krishna alone? Why not somebody else? Why we have to think of me? What I understood is that at that time of death, when you are going to shed your body, if you can transcend the restrictions of your body, mind, intellect, and you become one with me, so that me is Krishna or anybody else, then you have achieved me. That's what Krishna is trying to say. So is that concept not clear even now?
So we have to understand that we are all like Arjuna, no? See, Parthada, your full name is Partha Sarathi. You are Krishna. We are all Arjunas. So we are not understanding. So Arjuna has to be driven that again and again and again. Right? Parthada ka full name is P.S. Banerjee, Partha Sarathi Banerjee. He is actually, we call him Parthada in short. He is Partha Sarathi, not Partha. So, if therefore, the question is, and you're right. See, basically, when I do classroom training with in the corporate world, it's a very simple formula. Tell them what you will tell them. Then you tell them. Then you tell them what you told them. Only then something goes into the head. Right? And then we also say repetition is the mother of retention. So Krishna has to keep repeating because See, given 1 second, Partada, you will revert back into your identification of body, mind, intellect. So every time Krishna is trying to do is pull you back from there, pull you back from there, pull you back from there. And therefore this repetition here. Right? Let us close for the day. And chapter 8, हाँ जी मीना जी, आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं?
मेरा प्रश्न है कि जैसे मैं थोड़ा अभी इन दिनों स्वाध्याय मनन करती हूँ, तो मुझे लगता है कि जो विचारों की श्रृंखला मन में चलती है, तो ये मन में चलती है ना, राइट? तो मन बेसिकली मैं खोज रही थी कि आखिर मन है क्या? तो क्या ये विचारों का एक बहुत बड़ा, क्या कहेंगे, तार, या एक बहुत बड़ा गुच्छा, विचारों की श्रृंखला, क्या यही मन है? और यदि ये मन है तो मन
Yes, you're right. What is mind? Mind is the incessant flow of thoughts.
Okay.
Not my words, Gurudev's words. Mind is nothing but the incessant flow of thoughts. The moment the incessant flow of thoughts stops, your mind has gone. Now, where did these thoughts arise from? The thoughts arise from the fact that you have vasanas.
Yes, sir.
And where do the vasanas arise from? The vasanas arise from the ego, ahamkara.
One more thing, sir. जब हम इन पर अपने मन पर कंट्रोल करते हैं, तो अक्सर आप भी बताते हैं और स्वाध्याय से पता चलता है कि विवेक और बुद्धि से इसको कंट्रोल में किया जा सकता है, राइट? तो विवेक, आई एम लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूज हियर, व्हाट इज बुद्धि एंड व्हाट इज विवेक?
Vivek is the function of buddhi.
Okay.
Vivek is the function of buddhi, right? So it is discrimination. अभी जो बात कर रहे थे, judgment, discrimination, ये बुद्धि का function है. तो बुद्धि करता क्या है? जैसे मनस क्या करता है? मनस करता है आपके इमोशंस का सीट. इंटेलेक्ट करता है आपके थॉट्स का या आपके विचारों का सीट है वो. आप गुरुदेव का बीएमआई चार्ट पहले भी शेयर किया हुआ है शायद, बट और एक बार गूगल कर लीजिए बीएमआई चार्ट ऑफ स्वामी चिन्मयानंदा और उसको देखिए. बहुत इजी है, बहुत समझा, और उनका यूट्यूब का वीडियो भी है जिसमें उन्होंने समझाया है. पढ़िए, एक बार देखिए, बहुत क्लियर हो जाएगा. व्हाट इज द बॉडी, व्हाट इज द माइंड, व्हाट इज द इंटेलेक्ट.
थैंक यू सर.
शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.